What would you do if the person you trusted most turned out to be a cold-blooded killer? In a quiet, affluent neighborhood in Palm Beach, Florida, a tragic crime unfolded that would send shockwaves through an entire family. But what if this wasn't just a murder, but the culmination of years of secrets, betrayal, and unresolved tension? What if the killer was someone who was supposed to love the victim the most? Before we begin, our hearts go out to the family of Lanny Horwitz, whose lives have been forever altered by this heartbreaking tragedy. The loss of a loved one, especially in such a violent and unexpected manner, is a pain that no family should ever have to endure. Our thoughts and condolences are with them as they navigate the sorrow and challenges in the aftermath of this devastating event. It was the morning of September 30th, 2011, when a security guard responding to a routine alarm at one of the luxury homes in Admiral's Cove made a discovery that no one could have anticipated. Inside the house, a horrifying scene awaited him, one that would unravel the dark and twisted story of the Horwitz family. This is True Crime Diaries, where we delve into the chilling stories of real-life crimes that have shaken communities, families, and the world. Each week, we bring you gripping tales of betrayal, mystery, and justice, unraveling the details that led to some of the most shocking and heartbreaking events. Join us as we explore the dark side of human nature and the complex journeys of those seeking answers. If you're intrigued by true crime stories like this one, don't forget to hit that subscribe button, like, and leave your thoughts in the comments below. Let us know what you think about today's case, and stay tuned for more chilling mysteries. Admiral's Cove is the kind of place where you'd expect nothing but luxury. The community, nestled along the waterfront, is home to some of the wealthiest families in Florida. Its multimillion-dollar homes stand as a testament to prosperity, offering panoramic views of the water. For most of the residents, life was a dream, a far cry from the tragedy that was about to unfold in one of these pristine mansions. At 7 a.m., Security Officer Luis Garcia was dispatched to a home where the alarm had gone off. The alarm's glass break sensors had triggered, and Luis was on his way to investigate. As he arrived at the Horwitz residence, the door was opened by 38-year-old Radley Horwitz, a man who seemed a little dazed, as if he had just woken up. Behind him, his mother, Donna, was visibly distraught, screaming in panic, "I think he's dead." Inside the home, through the master bedroom, the horrific truth became clear. 66-year-old Lanny Horwitz was found collapsed on the bathroom floor. The scene was bloody, with shards of glass from the shattered shower door scattered across the floor. Lanny's body lay in a pool of blood, clutching a gun. It was a gruesome sight, and at first, it appeared to be a tragic case of suicide. But this was only the beginning. Upon arriving, Luis Garcia immediately attempted to render aid, securing the gun from Lanny's hand. His initial assumption was that Lanny had taken his own life, as the presence of the gun seemed to confirm this. But the evidence soon told a different story. When police and emergency responders arrived, Lanny was pronounced dead at the scene. Upon closer inspection, the wounds didn't match the usual signs of a suicide. Lanny had been shot not once, but 9 times. The police were left with a chilling question. Who could have fired those shots? There were no signs of forced entry. It seemed that someone in the house was responsible, but who? The 2 obvious suspects were Lanny's estranged wife, Donna, and their son, Radley. At first, the investigation seemed straightforward. Donna, in a state of shock, refused to speak with law enforcement. Radley, on the other hand, was more cooperative. He told detectives that he had been awakened by gunshots, though he couldn't tell whether the alarm or the sound of gunfire had first disturbed his sleep. From his bedroom doorway, Radley saw his mother pacing, frantic, screaming.
And the alarm was going off, and I heard screaming, and I was afraid to come out of my room. I know that sounds awful, but I was fucking scared.
Okay.
And my mom was screaming, and she was in the living room. I could see my dad through the doorway. At least I assume it was him. Nobody else would have been in the house. And obviously now it is. I saw someone on the floor.
Okay.
And blood. I don't know. I heard a couple of pops, but I don't know how many there were.
Okay.
But it was loud.
Went in there. What was your mom's demeanor? How was she?
She was screaming and screaming my name, and she was like going around in the living room with her arms up.
Was she saying anything? What happened, or what's going on, or anything?
No.
Do you think that your mom is capable of shooting your dad?
No. She's got her dogs, and she's got us.
The officers found the scene eerily clean, aside from the bloody bathroom and a small smear of blood on the front door's railing.
Be something else, but I'm thinking you look like shell-shocked, awake, like you just crawled out of bed, literally just crawled out of bed. So he's not in pajamas, but he's in clothes, and he looks groggy or dazed as if he just got out of bed.
Okay.
So I said to him, "What's going on? We're here for an alarm." He goes, "I don't know." And he said, "My mom is screaming." I said, "Okay, why is your mom screaming?" He goes, "I don't know." I said, "Is there anybody else in the house?" "Who is in the house?" "Just you two?" He goes, "My father." And I said, "Are there any weapons or guns inside the house? Does he have a gun?" He said, "Yes, I think he has a gun." And I see her upset, hysterical, sobbing. And I come to her quickly. I look around, and I tell him to stay right there. And I say, "What's going on?" She said, "I think he's dead."
What sort of interaction or reaction or actions do you see from mom and from the son?
Mom is very emotional. She's extremely upset, almost can't speak. The son, again, I thought was dazed, shocked, not showing a whole lot of emotion, like, I don't know, maybe sleepy, drugged, I don't know, whatever. Now, obviously, things are pointing in a different direction. But I clearly remember that mom was very emotional, son was not. Nothing about them made me think that they were involved. I saw no blood on them, otherwise it would have been a little different.
No injuries, nothing?
No injuries. I didn't see any blood, any injuries, nothing. Mom was pretty upset. Son appeared as if he had just woken up. And then
Investigators combed through the home, and as they approached the master bedroom, they made a crucial discovery. A gun lay on the floor near Lanny's body, which Lewis had removed from his hand. Another gun, a second weapon, was found on a dresser in the bedroom. As investigators examined the guns, they found bullet fragments in the bathroom. But there was more. The house contained an arsenal, 24 firearms in total, ranging from handguns to rifles, with thousands of rounds of ammunition. And in a suitcase belonging to Radley, police found ammunition that matched the two guns used to kill Lanny. The situation was looking more complicated by the minute. Donna's DNA was found on one of the guns, while the other contained Lanny's DNA. Yet something about the evidence didn't add up. A bloody fingerprint smudge on the gate leading into the house was identified, and it contained both Lanny's DNA and that of an unidentified individual. As detectives dug deeper into the lives of the Horwitz family, they uncovered a long and turbulent history of tension and turmoil. Radley's ex-partner, Mary Garbo, was one of the first people interviewed about the family's past. She explained that, until a few years prior, Radley had run a gun-selling business called Jupiter Arms. But after a run-in with the ATF, his business was shut down, and he was convicted of a felony. Radley had been entangled in a legal issue after purchasing a part that could convert a Glock pistol into a fully automatic weapon, a purchase encouraged by his father. This conviction led to a strained relationship between father and son, with Radley blaming his father for the legal trouble. Radley even remembered his father laughing when federal agents arrived to arrest him, a moment that would leave a deep scar. After his conviction, Radley moved back into the family home. His mother, Donna, had been battling mental health issues for years. She had attempted suicide more than once, and by 2011, she was eager for a reconciliation with Lanny. She moved back in with him, and soon Radley joined them.
And the guy let him hang up his certificate on his wall at his business.
What certificate?
Stating that he had a FFL.
Mm-hmm.
And then his business basically was, he'd go to the bars at night where he hung out anyway, and he would try to drum up business.
Selling guns?
Yeah.
What's with all the guns in the house?
His father was just as paranoid about having guns as Radley became. Rad was more obsessive about it than his father was, though.
So you gotta go to the bathroom, but I just want to ask you, did you shoot your father, or were you involved in any way?
Absolutely not. I did not shoot my father. I was not involved in any other way, or in any way. I was woken up to gunfire, polygraph, whatever. I mean, I think you guys know, but you still gotta ask.
I have to ask.
What did you think? Seeing what was there,
Maybe
listening to what you said, what you're telling us you heard.
maybe he snapped. Maybe she snapped. But that, and this is going to sound absolutely stupid, but it was going to sound beyond stupid, but cliche too, but whatever happened and whatever had been happening, she was the victim. And my dad's laying in the goddamn morgue, and I'm telling you that.
In the gun business before.
Yeah.
Okay. You hear the clicking sound as you describe it.
Yeah.
To you, what is that clicking sound?
Out. Out.
On what?
No more shots in a gun. It's a gun being dry fired or, fired empty. And,
when you saw your mom walking back and forth, was the gun still in her hand?
I don't know, so I'm not going to say. I don't know.
Okay.
And I know there was a lot of screaming, and I think she was screaming my name. I'm pretty sure she was saying Radley, at least a couple of times, and the other, I was like, oh,
Did you come out at that point?
I came out once. I'd already peeked out the other side, and then I don't know if I put my shorts on then or what, but I came out.
It's important for us to understand and know whether or not you said something. I mean, what happened here?
She was saying he was so awful. She said that twice. And I said, did he attack you? And I don't know if it was there, if we were in the car, and I was like, did he attack you? And I'm pretty sure that all she kept saying was that he was so awful. My dad said that he wanted to, work things out with my mom and stuff. And with the initial divorce, I thought, she was the worst person in the world. But then once I was living at home and I was under his thumb, I realized that he was, I guess, when you're younger and stuff, whatever. But that he, wasn't the nicest person, And she said to me that he used to, tell her that he'd put her out on the street, and I never believed it. That he'd, after the grandmother died, Anita, that because of all the legal stuff that he had her sign since the divorce in 2001, that he would, that he'd have her out on the street. And she always said that, she thought she was kind of as a bag lady, and I'm like, not that I can,
So you're saying you believe that he brought her back into the home just to
get that
be
money,
able to mess with her about
to get the money, to torment her. I'll use that word again. And I think a black eye's one thing, which I never saw, but those heal and go away.
Right.
The psychological stuff is a lot worse.
The tension in the house was palpable, and it was only escalating. Donna and Lanny had a complex history. Married in 1967, they had one child, Radley. After decades of marriage, the couple divorced in 2001, only to reconcile and remarry. But the second marriage didn't last long either. By 2011, Donna was asking Lanny to take her back, and this time he agreed. But it wasn't just Donna's return that caused strife. It was the ongoing affair between Lanny and Francine Tice, his business partner. Francine was a frequent visitor to the Horwitz home, and her relationship with Lanny was becoming more public. This only fueled Donna's suspicions. On the night before his death, Lanny had dinner with Radley and his young daughter. Over dinner, Lanny made two contradictory statements. He told Radley that, despite their divorce, he had always envisioned growing old with Donna, the mother of his child. But Lanny also mentioned that he was leaving the next day on a trip with his business partner, Francine. The next morning, when Lanny was found dead, investigators quickly turned their attention to Francine. She had a close relationship with Lanny, one that went beyond business. In fact, they were seen together frequently, holding hands, exchanging text messages day and night. But when detectives questioned her, Francine denied any physical relationship, insisting that they were just close friends. However, her denials couldn't erase the suspicions about her role in the situation.
My friends, I have an amazing amount of friends and dinner parties and my businesses and traveling. We went to Europe. The best. You always want a Lanny. Everybody wants to meet a Lanny. This should never, ever happened. Could they bring him back to life if you're, see if he really is dead? Did a deal with him and he wouldn't tell me what the deal was. The ex-wife. The ex-wife.
Okay. And Donna. Okay. When you say deal, what do you mean?
Like, I don't know.
Okay.
So he went to Asheville. Mm-hmm. And then when he came back from that trip, he said that Donna was moving back into the house. They were not remarrying, that she wanted to make it work. I said, all right. Hasn't she done this to you 4 times?
Got any issues with Rad, or?
To my knowledge, again, Lanny's a private person.
Tell him what you know, sweetie.
Lanny's
not here.
Let me just tell you. Did he shoot Lanny?
We don't know. That's what we're trying to find out.
There was a struggle, though.
We don't know.
Can I tell you what I see? Oh, but better not. I see the whole thing. I see the whole thing.
You can tell us. Sure.
No, I'd rather not.
Okay.
I'd rather not.
All right. No real issues that you know with Rad, except that he's just not.
Trust fund baby.
Yeah. No jobs or anything like that.
Had a couple.
Okay.
Didn't keep them.
Right.
On unemployment.
All right. And then he's been living with his dad as long as you've known him?
As long as I've known him.
Okay.
To me, promise me that you will fight to the end to see that I get justice. When he told me that, it's always been on my mind. And I said, well, you moved into the house. She never cooked a meal for you, Lanny, in all the years you were married. And she's cooking you meals every night. I don't understand it. I'd be afraid what's going into the food. He laughed. He said, no, she's trying to show me she got domestic. 35 years she couldn't show you that? Mm-hmm. And the dream with the guns. You don't understand. I see things. I know. I'm sorry. It sounds crazy.
What do you see happening? What do you see happening?
He was getting out of the shower. His cell phone was here. The gun was somewhere very close to him because he always brings it with him. He was coming out of the shower. She saw the suitcase being packed because, I don't know if he told her he was going to Asheville. This is what I see. This is the scene. She says, you go, I'm going to kill you. That's what I see. And he's saying, stop it, Donna. I know him because he's gentle. He took the gun and it killed him.
Ex-wife know that he loves you?
Wouldn't you think? Wouldn't you think? Wouldn't you think she did? And wouldn't you think she saw the texts? And wouldn't you think she saw the pictures? Mm-hmm. Was sitting on my birthday blowing out candles at 3 Forks, my birthday cake. Mm-hmm. Wouldn't you think?
Well, we were told that you and he had a relationship.
By her?
By the time.
No, I never had any intimacy.
He said you were his girlfriend.
Oh, that's not funny. I was not his girlfriend. I was his business partner, business associate, best friend, or as he puts in text, my best friend, pal, my buddy.
Okay.
Would that be a girlfriend? Did I ever have sex with the man? Never.
Okay.
Did I kiss him? Of course I did. Do I kiss my girlfriends? Absolutely.
Right. Did his family think that you guys were having an affair? Obviously they did.
Oh, I don't know that.
Okay.
Was she the reason for the mounting tensions in the Horwitz household? Was Lanny's death the result of a love triangle gone terribly wrong? In the aftermath of the murder, Radley Horwitz willingly sat down with police to offer more details. His version of the events from the morning of September 30th was troubling, but the detectives' probing questions revealed even more disturbing facts. According to Radley, he had awoken to the sound of a gunshot, only to hear the security alarm blaring moments later. He wasn't sure which sound had first jolted him from sleep, but one thing was clear. Something had gone terribly wrong. Radley described how, from his bedroom doorway, he had seen his mother pacing frantically and heard her scream, "I think he's dead." When asked about his father's emotional state, Radley described him as being manipulative and emotionally distant, claiming that Lanny was the one who had caused much of the tension in their lives, particularly by encouraging Radley to make the illegal purchase that had landed him in prison. Though Radley didn't directly implicate his mother, he did hint at the explosive dynamics in the Horwitz household. Donna had reportedly grown more ill in the weeks leading up to Lanny's death, both physically and mentally. Her appearance had worsened, with weight loss and brittle hair, and her emotional health was in a freefall. Yet Radley's detailed recollections of that morning weren't enough to paint a clear picture. His account left open-ended questions, particularly surrounding his relationship with his father. Had the long-brewing resentment from their troubled past been the trigger for Lanny's death? Was there a hidden motive behind Radley's actions that investigators had yet to uncover? In contrast to Radley's openness, Donna remained mostly silent throughout the investigation. Her refusal to give a formal statement was unusual, and it raised suspicions among detectives. When the EMTs arrived, and Lanny was declared dead, Donna still hadn't said a word. Her shock was palpable, but investigators would later find that her silence might have been more telling than anyone could have realized. Investigators stumbled upon Donna's personal diary, which provided a window into her troubled mind. The diary revealed a woman teetering on the edge of madness, caught in a web of jealousy, emotional distress, and bitter resentment towards her ex-husband. Donna's entries gave haunting glimpses into her deteriorating mental state. As we dive deeper into this story, we want to hear your thoughts. Do you think justice was served? Or is there more to this case than meets the eye? Leave your comments below, and if you're enjoying this story so far, don't forget to like and subscribe for more compelling true crime content. Stay with us as we continue to unfold the details of this chilling case. In March 2011, she had written about lending Lanny $200,000 to help him with his financial troubles, believing that the loan would help facilitate their reconciliation. "Lanny loves me, and I love him," Donna wrote. But by June, her entries began to reflect a darker perspective. She had become suspicious of Lanny's relationship with Francine. As the months passed, Donna's paranoia grew. She wrote that Lanny was playing games with her mind and had begun insulting her. The affection she once felt for him was now replaced by bitterness and disgust. In her final entry, dated just weeks before the murder, Donna described how Lanny had left the house to spend time with Francine. The entry ended with a chilling statement. "Another long day of lies, of being Mr. Mine. I stayed home all day, very tired." The case went to trial in 2013, and both sides presented their theories of what had transpired that morning. The prosecution argued that Donna, upon seeing Lanny's packed suitcases and realizing that he was leaving for a trip with his mistress, had snapped. In a fit of rage, she shot him, twice with one gun and 7 more times with another. But the defense team had another theory. They pointed to Radley, suggesting that he, too, had a motive to kill his father. The defense emphasized the trajectory of the bullets, arguing that someone taller than Donna was likely the shooter. They also highlighted the bloody fingerprint smudge on the front gate, which they claimed belonged to a mysterious third party, someone who had left the scene quickly, possibly a hitman hired by Radley. However, the theory that Radley had hired a hitman didn't hold up under scrutiny. There were too many unanswered questions. Primarily, how had an unknown individual managed to enter the house without triggering the security system? And why did the alarm go off only after the shots were fired? When Radley took the stand, he recalled the final moments of his father's life. He described the disturbing sight of Lanny's body lying on the bathroom floor, his life quickly slipping away. Radley was calm, collected, but his testimony painted a portrait of a son who had been emotionally scarred by his father. But was Radley's pain enough to push him to murder? As the trial progressed, the defense turned their attention to Radley's own financial struggles. His felony conviction had crushed his chances of success in the business world. His father's influence was a constant reminder of the opportunities Radley had lost. The defense team argued that Radley had a financial motive for his father's death. He stood to inherit a significant sum, including life insurance, luxury homes, and cars, all of which had once been promised to him. But was that enough to drive Radley to murder? Or was there more to the story? Something that would only emerge after further investigation? In the final days of the trial, the prosecution made a devastating argument. They called attention to a book Radley had purchased years earlier titled Hitman. When questioned, Radley had admitted that the book could be considered a manual on how to kill someone without getting caught. The jury was stunned, but the defense maintained that Radley had no part in the actual murder. One crucial piece of evidence stood out among the rest: Donna's blood-soaked pajamas. Although it had been overlooked by police in the immediate aftermath of the murder, the pajamas were later tested for blood. The results were damning. The blood splatter patterns and traces of gunpowder suggested that Donna had been in the bathroom with Lanny when the shots were fired. Yet there was more. Donna's peculiar response to the questions posed by the police. When asked if she needed a drink of water, she pointed to her ears. She couldn't hear. Detectives later found that Donna had suffered permanent hearing damage that day, losing 48% of her hearing. After 2 trials, the jury finally reached a verdict. In 2017, Donna was convicted of second-degree murder, and she was sentenced to 32 years in prison. At 70 years old, Donna's life was effectively over. She would spend the remainder of her days behind bars for the murder of the man she once loved, and perhaps still did. For Radley, the years of turmoil and bitterness had come to an end. He moved away from the United States to start over, claiming that he had less anger towards his father now than he once did. But the scars of his past would remain with him forever. Radley Horwitz, once caught in the storm of his family's turmoil, seemed to find some peace after the trial.
Defense a second time. Didn't work the first time, didn't work the second time. I think I've been kicked around enough at this point, honestly, so just looking to move on with my life, and I think the physical evidence has spoken. 2 separate juries have spoken. I still can't help but feel a little bad for my mom, but as I said the last time, it's pretty much the only family that's left.
With his mother convicted and his father's death lingering as the painful wound at the center of his life, Radley moved abroad in an attempt to escape the weight of his past. It was a fresh start, one that offered the possibility of rebuilding, of shedding the identity of a man haunted by family secrets and betrayal. But could he ever truly leave behind the ghosts of his father's death? For years, Radley had been consumed by resentment. The man who had been his father, a mentor, a businessman, and a figure he could never fully trust, had manipulated him, pushed him into dangerous situations, and ultimately set him on a path that led to prison. It wasn't just the conviction for the illegal weapons charge. It was the way Lanny had laughed at him when federal agents arrived to arrest him. That moment, Radley would say, was when everything fell apart. But now, with his mother's conviction, Radley was faced with the question of whether he could ever forgive. The anger that had once burned so fiercely within him seemed to have cooled, but the pain would never truly disappear. He had lost his father to murder and his mother to a life sentence. Would he ever have the chance to heal? Or had the damage done to his life been too great? The Horwitz family's tragic tale wasn't just about murder. It was a story of psychological manipulation, deep-seated resentment, and a desperate fight for control. At the heart of the drama was a love triangle that, over time, escalated into violence. Lanny, a man who had once been in control of everything, had lost it all. His marriage, his fortune, his son's respect. In a sense, Lanny's life had been a series of deals and promises that ultimately led to his death. Donna, on the other hand, had been a woman pushed to the edge by years of emotional and mental strain. She had loved Lanny in a way that was impossible to unravel, yet her affections had become entangled in jealousy and betrayal. The money, the reconciliation, and the hopes of rekindling their love had turned into a deadly cocktail of rage. And for all her silence, Donna's final actions spoke volumes. While Donna and Radley were key players in the drama, there was another crucial figure in the Horwitz saga, Francine Tice. Francine's relationship with Lanny had been more than just professional. They were in love. This was clear to anyone who saw them together. The couple was inseparable, hugging, kissing, and texting constantly. Their closeness had not gone unnoticed by those who knew them, and yet, Francine continued to deny any physical relationship with Lanny when questioned by investigators. Her denial was likely a defense mechanism, protecting her own reputation. But the reality was that Francine's connection to Lanny played a significant role in the tension that permeated the Horwitz home. As Donna grew more suspicious, her obsession with Lanny's connection to Francine took over. Was it jealousy that drove Donna to murder? Or was it a more calculated, premeditated decision? The prosecution's case was clear-cut. Donna Horwitz had murdered her ex-husband in a fit of rage. The packed suitcases, the emotional breakdown, and the mounting evidence all pointed to one thing. Donna could no longer accept the humiliation of her failed marriage. The final straw was Lanny's trip with Francine, a journey that signaled the end of their reconciliation and the revival of his love affair. According to the prosecution, the shooting was not a spontaneous act. It had been building for months, perhaps years. Donna's diary entries were damning, painting a picture of a woman who had been pushed to the edge by the man she had once loved. The $200,000 loan, meant to save their homes, had only pushed Donna further into a spiral of doubt and jealousy. As she saw Lanny's suitcases packed and ready for his trip, something inside her snapped. She didn't just shoot him once. She shot him 9 times. The defense, however, had a different narrative. They argued that Donna was not the killer. They believed that her son, Radley, had orchestrated the murder. He had been the one with the motive, they said.
The gun would have to be very close to the top of her forehead. Absolutely, scientifically impossible that Donna Horwitz was the shooter here. About jumping to conclusions. A third party murdered Lanny Horwitz, and he left a bloody smudge of his DNA on the gate as he made his getaway. Boom! The first shot goes off and hits him. He's in the shower. He's in absolute shock. Glass flies all over the place. He steps out and boom, boom, boom. He's shot 4 more times by one gun. And there's blood spatter all over. And he had 500,000 reasons to have his dad dead. It's called life insurance. He was the beneficiary.
Radley had a deep-seated hatred for his father, and his resentment had been building for years. Not only had Lanny caused Radley's conviction, but the financial arrangements surrounding Lanny's estate only added fuel to the fire. Radley was poised to inherit a significant sum of money from his father's death, including valuable property and a life insurance payout. This
screaming my name, and she might have said, like, your father, or something like that. He made this god-awful, inhuman, gurgling sound.
Did that frighten you?
Yes, yeah.
financial windfall, paired with his years of animosity, made him a prime suspect in the eyes of the defense. The bloody fingerprint smudge found on the front gate was their strongest piece of evidence, a sign that a third party, possibly a hitman, had been involved. But there were holes in their theory. No third party had been seen entering the house, and there was no evidence that Radley had actually hired someone to carry out the murder. The bloody fingerprint could have been a mistake, an accidental transfer from the crime scene. Radley's hands had been tested for gunshot residue, and the results came back negative. The defense's theory relied heavily on speculation. There was no direct evidence tying Radley to the crime, and his actions during the investigation were notably cooperative. But the defense had one more card to play, a shocking revelation. During cross-examination, the defense pointed to a dark secret from Radley's past. In 2004, Radley had purchased a book titled Hitman. When asked if the book could be considered a guide on how to kill someone and get away with it, Radley hesitated before answering, as opposed to killing somebody and getting caught, yes. That moment sent a ripple through the courtroom. The jury now had to wonder, did Radley have a hidden hand in his father's death? Was the motive truly financial? Or had Radley's growing disdain for Lanny finally driven him to murder? As the trial neared its conclusion, the prosecution seized upon a crucial detail. The firearms found at the scene were central to their argument. Donna Horwitz had been in the bathroom when the shots were fired, they contended, as evidenced by the blood spatter and the forensic analysis of the crime scene. The trajectory of the bullets, they claimed, suggested that the shooter was of average height, not taller as the defense had suggested. The guns were another telling piece of the puzzle. Both firearms were fired at Lanny as he exited the shower. And although the defense had speculated that a third party had been involved, there was no evidence of a hitman's presence. The bloody fingerprint on the gate, according to the prosecution, was likely the result of an oversight by the first responders at the scene. It didn't point to an outsider. It pointed back to Donna. The prosecution also pointed out Donna's strange silence at the scene. When the first responders arrived and attempted to question her, Donna said nothing. She didn't react to the news of her ex-husband's death. Her blank, unresponsive demeanor was used as proof of her guilt, her refusal to cooperate suggesting a consciousness of wrongdoing. After weeks of testimony, the case was handed over to the jury. The deliberations were tense, with each side presenting compelling arguments. The defense had painted Radley as the true killer, but the prosecution's case was stronger. Donna's diary, her strained relationship with Lanny, and her suspicious silence during the investigation formed a web of evidence that was too difficult to ignore. In just under 2 hours, the jury returned with a verdict. Donna Horwitz was found guilty of first-degree murder with a firearm. The sentencing followed quickly after the trial, and the court requested the maximum penalty, life in prison. At 70 years old, Donna's life as she knew it was over. She would spend her remaining years behind bars, a woman who had once been consumed by love for a man she had married and divorced twice, only to ultimately kill him in a jealous rage. For Radley, The verdict meant an uncertain future. He had lost both parents, his father to murder and his mother to a life sentence. Yet,
oh, nobody should have to go that way. No matter what. Even the mafia doesn't kill like that. So it's unbelievable that she could do something like that.
And I'd like her to remember every single day that the prima donna lifestyle ended when she put the gun in his mouth.
I guess she prefers the police wagon to her white Mercedes.
I really believe I caved in. I feel that at the very end, I was convinced that it had to be her. Would I have liked to have seen more evidence? Yes. But my conscience and my gut said it had to be her. The biggest problem was that there were only 2 people in the house. She was arrested and the son wasn't. I had a lot of questions that were unanswered. I would like to have seen more evidence, more blood on her, something that said she did it directly, but there wasn't enough reasonable doubt, and common sense in the end is what finally swayed me, and I was the last holdout. I don't think she should have a life sentence, but again, she's probably going to unfortunately die in prison unless they get an appeal and win.
Yet, in the years following his mother's conviction, Radley found a way to move on. He moved overseas, seeking to start anew. He claimed that his feelings toward his father had changed over time, his hatred dissipating into something more neutral. As for his mother, he no longer held any anger towards her, though the scars of their past would always be with him. Radley's escape from the shadow of his family's tragic history wasn't an easy one, but he was determined to rebuild. He sought peace, knowing that he could never truly erase the painful events that had shaped his life. The Horwitz family's legacy would forever be marked by betrayal, financial ruin, and a violent murder that no one saw coming. But even after the trial, the case of Lanny Horwitz's death left more questions than answers. Was Donna truly the sole perpetrator, or had there been more to the story? Could Radley's resentment have festered so deeply that it pushed him to orchestrate his father's death, as the defense suggested? And what of Francine Tice? Could her relationship with Lanny have played a part in the deadly events of that morning? In the end, Lanny Horwitz's death was not just about a man killed by his ex-wife. It was the tragic result of years of toxic relationships, bitter grievances, and an unraveling family dynamic. Will the truth ever be fully revealed? Or will the case of Lanny Horwitz's death remain clouded in mystery? What do you think? Was Donna the sole killer? Or was Radley the one pulling the strings behind the scenes? Did the family's long history of betrayal, resentment, and jealousy push Donna to take such drastic action? Leave your thoughts in the comments below, and if you want to dive deeper into the story, don't forget to hit that subscribe button. Stay tuned for more true crime stories that will keep you on the edge of your seat. We'll be bringing you another chilling case with a shocking twist that you won't want to miss. Until next time, stay aware, stay safe, and always look a little deeper. This is True Crime Diaries, where every story has a pulse.